Hi everyone, this is Quotidian Light, and this is a video response for Nerdy Lioness regarding ear blowouts. Her ears are 1 inch. She has been stretching for 1 year. So far, in addition to having the blowout on her ear, on the same ear, her trach is irritated, and it looks like it's developing like a bump. It's not a keloid, but it is a bump. And in order to heal these, she has been using alcohol on the trach, and she has been taking out her plugs, massaging them, and putting her plugs back in. She is not downsized. First, the reason why I'm doing this video is I was typing up a response. I was not going to do a video. I was going to do a written response, but it just got too long. And then I thought, well, maybe this will help other people. There are several steps you need to take in order to heal a blowout so it does not cause future problems. What is a blowout? If you look at my ears, some people say, will they ever shrink down? They can shrink a little bit, but my ears will never shrink down to the original size because as I have gradually stretched my hole larger, because I did it nice and slow, new skin developed. So I actually have more earlobe tissue now than I did when I started stretching my ears. This is important because what happens to a lot of people when they start stretching, especially right around 2 gauge, 0, 00 area, is it feels really easy. And so they go quickly. And when I say quickly, I mean less than 6 months between each stretch because it feels comfortable. You're not bleeding. It's not painful. You see no reason to go any slower. And so if a piercer or someone that's had stretched lips for a really long time says, hey, you should probably wait 6 months between stretches, you look at them like, are you crazy? It'll take 10 years for me to get to 1 inch at that rate. And so you keep going because it feels comfortable. Because most people are stretching their ears with tapers, that is even more distinct. Because if you stretch really slowly, as you're stretching, you're developing that new tissue. If you stretch too quickly, you're stretching, then the new tissue has to form. And you can get to the point where you're stretching faster than the new tissue can grow. That new tissue is what alleviates pressure. If you are stretching but you don't have enough tissue to cover that surface area, you are developing pressure because your earlobe is trying to shrink back onto that earring. And the earring is pushing the earlobe out. And the earlobe doesn't have enough tissue to be able to handle it. So as it's pressing, eventually what will happen is from the side, some of the tissue on the inside of your lobe will come out and it will make a lip. Some people don't care about the lip because it's in the back usually. Sometimes it doesn't even hurt. It just looks a little funny. But you should care about that lip for a couple reasons. First, it can look bad as you get to larger sizes. If you're really small and you're at 0 gauge and you have an itsy bitsy little blowout, it may not look very bad. But if you're at 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and you have a blowout, it's noticeable. The other reason why it's important is because it can cause scar tissue. That scar tissue in the future can make it harder for you to stretch. It can show up at a later date. So here's the first thing. You have to recognize you have a blowout because you stretched too quickly for your body. Even if it felt fine, it was still too quickly for your body. There are people that they will stretch their ear, it will feel fine, and then 4 months later the blowout appears. 6 months later the blowout appears. Or they'll put in a pair of earrings that are too heavy. They'll put in a pair of earrings that they're slightly allergic to. They may eat badly and all of a sudden it comes out. But it comes out because the issue was already present. So my first recommendation, I'm sorry, is to downsize. Now when I say downsize, I'm not talking about going to a 1/2 inch, okay? You say you were stretching for 3 years and it took 3 years for you to get to 1 inch. I started stretching my ears in 1993 and it was about 2003 when I reached 1 inch. That's how long I stretched before I got to that point. This is not a race. And just like you tell people when they have locks mean patience. You gotta be patient. Well, it's the same thing with your ears. Yes, there are people that can stretch their ears in 3 years, get it to an inch, and it looks okay. But there are more people that can cause themselves problems. And a lot of the people whose ears look okay, when you get up close, you can see scar tissue on the inside, or they will always have one ear that stretches slower than the other, or every time they stretch, they get fine breaks that have to heal, or they've got ears that are always itchy. So just because something looks healthy doesn't mean it is healthy. I always recommend stretching slower. But hey, I'm old school, okay? I've been stretching for a really long time. I've seen a lot of crap. There was a girl that I had on my BME list who literally lost an ear from a staph infection from stretching. So what I have to say is not just because I'm being old-fashioned, and I'm saying it this way because there are a lot of young people that are going really quickly because it feels comfortable. Just because it feels comfortable doesn't mean it's healthy. If you are stretching for the long term, this is important because the damage you do to your ears now will slow you down 10, 15 years from now. If you're just stretching for the short term, you don't really care about how your ears look, this video is not for you. This video is for someone that is going to be stretched for 20, 30 years, that wants to have healthy ears, that wants to be able to take their earrings out and walk around with empty earlobes and not have their earlobes look messed up when they're 60 years old, okay? And that's where I'm at. Like, I go around like this a lot because my ears are healthy and I'm not ashamed of how they looked without their earrings in. When I say downsize, I mean downsize 1, maybe 2 sizes. Second, you keep taking your earrings out to heal them, but because they are irritated, they are swollen. When your earlobes are irritated, they shrink faster than when they're healthy. If you're taking your earring out for 4 or 5 hours, and then you're putting your earring back in that time, it is slightly shrunk, and then you're stretching. Shrink, stretch, shrink, stretch every time you do it. My recommendation is to find a pair of lightweight earrings that do not irritate you, something that is totally neutral to your body. Unless you know for a fact that you have no allergy to stainless steel, don't put stainless steel in them when you're healing a blowout. You want something that is completely inert for your body. So, titanium is great for this, okay? Really, really good stone. If you know you're not allergic to stone, using stone is good for this. I always used to use wood. A lot of people say not to use wood in your ears when they're irritated. Depending on whether or not you know you're not allergic to wood, wood may be good for healing. When I am healing something, in the past when I was young and stupid, I always used to use like ebony. Like rosewood, no. Rosewood's known for causing some irritations. Cherry causes a lot of irritations in people. You want a hard wood that's polished really, really, really well. And then you put this earring in that is 1 or 2 sizes smaller that you know you're not allergic to, and you leave it there. Do not keep pulling it in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And when you're massaging your earlobe, you massage it with the earring in. You massage it around the earring. And that is really good because you're not getting the shrink, grow, shrink, grow, shrink, grow thing. You want to leave that in your ear until the blowout has resolved, plus several months. Always be on the safe side. Don't say, oh, the blowout's gone, I'm going to stretch tomorrow. Wait. I am not exaggerating when I say wait 6 months. It doesn't hurt. I've done it. I went too quickly in the beginning, like so many people, because I didn't know. And at that time, most people didn't know. And the minute I figured it out, I waited 6 months to a year between stretches on a regular basis. And that's good. Your ear is going to hurt as long as you are irritating it. Getting a lightweight earring in there that is slightly smaller and leaving it there is one of the best things you can do to get the irritation off your ear. Now, some other things. If you are seeing any weeping of the skin, if you feel like there's anything like microbial going on, which can happen if you have a blowout, you're already irritated and inflamed, you're going to be more prone to infection. So you want to do something. Don't use alcohol on your ear. While alcohol on the ear, even on the trach, can dry out the pussy area, what it also does is it causes hairline fractures in the skin that you can't actually see. They're like microscopic, and that can actually cause infection. So while it is temporarily killing the bacteria, it is drying your ear out so much that the skin integrity is gone, and therefore you can actually get an infection. And that girl I talk about who has one big ear and no earlobe on the other side, that's what happened. She got staph in the skin of that earlobe and lost the earlobe. Well, just the bottom part. So what I recommend instead, if it looks like there's bacteria, pus, anything like that in this part, you need to treat it because this whole area is connected. So if you have an irritation here, it is inflaming this hole. If you have an irritation here, it is inflaming this. The body is an organism that feeds off of each other, and these two areas are very close together. And so I am not one to believe that this is completely a separate issue from this. To me, it's all one issue. What you use instead, if you have some inkling that it might actually be infection, you don't do this all the time, do it like every other day. You use a good antimicrobial soap that also protects the skin integrity. I recommend Satin. It's really popular with piercers. If you go to your piercer, there's a good chance he has it. If he doesn't, call around to some of your other piercers. Sometimes they'll have it at like Walgreens. If your Walgreens is like a really good Walgreens or in an area where there's like some plastic surgery offices around, it might be easier to find. But I recommend Satin. It's really, really good. It's antimicrobial, but it protects the skin integrity. If you can't get Satin and you feel like you have an infection, you can pull out the big guns. Seriously, once a week. This kills all bacteria. They use it as surgical scrub. You do not want to use this all the time. You need to make sure that you rinse all of it off your skin. You do not use it full strength. You dilute it. This is old school. Hibiclens. It works. If you have an infection, this will knock it out. Okay. I've never used this on my ears because I've never had an infection on my ears. But I've had some body piercings that had some problems, and this knocked it right out. Once a week for 2 weeks, and I literally never used it again. And this again, you can get at most Walgreens. It's really inexpensive. Walgreens, what's another? Rite Aid would have it. You just call and ask. A lot of times it's behind the counter because, like I said, it's medical. Most people that use it are using it in surgery, but for people that have like catheters and stuff, they get this stuff. So it is available. It's sometimes a little easier to find than the Satin, but the Satin is a lot more gentle. Okay. As far as massaging your earlobes, you want to make sure a lot of oils can actually be irritating. So I don't recommend massaging your earlobes right away if there's any broken spots or if there's any pussing, or if when you take your earrings out, the inside, the fistula, sloughs off any skin. Just wait a couple days, okay? After a couple days of having the smaller earring in, start your massages and look at the oils you're using. I don't recommend heavy oils. You want oils that soak in, okay? You want oils that are light but that work well. I highly, highly recommend emu oil if you can get it. It is very, very good for helping to reintegrate the scar tissue into the ear. Very good for that. Argan oil is good. It's kind of neutral, so it causes less problems. Same with jojoba. But if you can get emu oil, I highly recommend emu oil. After the ear stops itching and aching, then you can start taking the plug in and out for just the massages. Don't take your plug out overnight until it's completely healed. Once your ear stops aching and itching, then you can take it out and start your massages. And when you're massaging your earlobe, this is hard to explain, But let's say this is a scar, okay? So if you have overstretched, your blowout is like a line going this way, okay? One thing that any doctor will tell you, if you've had surgery, if you have a scar of any kind, when you're massaging the scar, don't just massage this way. Massage across the scar. That helps dissolve that tissue and prevent the scar from hardening. So when you're massaging this way, but then you're massaging this way as well. And that's going to help break that up so that you're not getting a solidified scar in there. You don't want that to get hard, because eventually if you ever want to stretch again, that's going to come back and bite you. And when you're going side by side, actually put a little bit of pressure on it. You want to like really break that up. After a few months of that, then your ear's going to feel somewhat normal and you'll be able to go back in peace. But the next time you stretch, go much slower. Go much slower, because if you're stretching once every 6 months and after 3 years, that's only, 6 stretches? From the average person, they start at like 18 gauge. So that's kind of quick. You know, you might want to just slow it down, even if it feels comfortable. Know that even though your earlobe feels fine, it needs time to catch up with what the earring is doing for your body. I hope that helps. I know it's not the advice you wanted to hear, but it's all I got.